Hey, what's up guys? Chris from chrisxoutdoors. Thanks for joining for another video. Today we're looking at a Craftsman yard vacuum. It has a 4.5 horse Tecumseh engine. I got it with a package deal of a whole bunch of other power equipment. This was one of the pieces on it. One of the reasons why I'm jumping into this is because I was working on another project, another video. I'll try to link that right here. I robbed the carburetor off of this one because I thought it was the same car, but it turns out that it wasn't. So I wasn't planning on getting into this more into the fall. That decision has kind of forced me. Now I have it all apart. I might as well just jump into it. I don't know anything about it. You guys are looking at it for the first time that I am. Has the ability, it'll suck it up into this huge, I don't know if it's a carbide blade or something. It'll shred whatever is in there and then it'll fill up this big bag. And you have the ability to shove some sticks and, branches and stuff down in there just to kind of shred it all. I don't know why it was being sold. I don't know. Again, I don't know anything about it. So I'm going to verify that the engine is good. I'm going to check for spark first, and then I will shoot some fuel down that plug hole just to see if the engine turns over. The only thing that I'm going to preface is there was this wire connected to, there's this like throttle plate. This is the throttle plate. It's got 4 positions. This is the choke, and then it pops out of the choke, and then it freely, that's the turtle, that's the rabbit, that's choke. And then once you get to this stage on the turtle, that's the kill switch. I'm assuming it grounds itself some way, shape, or form. That plug went right in there. Yeah, there's the choke on the right, rabbit, turtle, and then the stop. So I am going to check for spark without this. I think it should have it. If it does not have spark, I'll plug that thing in there and then bolt this thing back on, and so it's grounded, and then that should be the reason why it doesn't have spark. But spark plug doesn't look the greatest from the outside. Doesn't look too bad. So I'll throw this spark checker tool on there. There will be an orange flicker inside of that chamber if we got spark. So it looks like we got spark. That's good. All right. Pop that plug out. Get a little bit of hot sauce in there. We'll put that plug back in. I'll just hand tighten it. One last thing that I'm going to do, since I took this this intake manifold off with the carburetor, I'm just going to get this piece of aluminum. And I just kind of plugged up a little. I'm letting a little bit of air in, which obviously is needed. But since it doesn't have that assembly on there, I just don't want everything exposed to any of this crap or stuff that's up in there that can get sucked in. Not that it's the biggest deal in the world, but I have a suspicion that this is going to be very loud. All right, fire in the hole. All right, very cool. Okay, I already have that carburetor off of there. The primer bulb does not feel extremely pliable. So I actually didn't even check. I did already look at the gas tank. That is completely empty. The gas doesn't smell. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't smell. I've smelled worse. I will say that. I've smelled worse, but it does not smell the best. Oil doesn't look too bad. I think it's a little low, but let's tear into this carburetor. I don't feel anything in there, so I have a sneaking suspicion if there was anything in there, it's going to be dry, corroded, rusty metal. Okay, once again, I'm doing this without carburetor spray or any kind of a chemical cleaner. 1/2 inch. Oh, that didn't feel good. Oh boy. Oh boy. Okay. Here, let me see this. I was expecting worse. Definitely was expecting worse. So that looked to be very, very empty. Gasket doesn't look too good. Let's just start taking her apart. Get that pin out first. Just gonna start to knock off what I can. Whatever was in there did a number on it, but the good news, that's the bad news. The good news is that there was not much in there to do a number on it. So I'm just gonna be very careful. It's just a brass and cloth brush from a golf bag that I'm using for now. So first thing that I'm gonna do, since I don't have any cleaner, I'm just gonna take some regular seafoam and I'm just gonna fill up. I'm gonna flip this carburetor upside down. I'm just gonna kind of fill it up in there and just let that soak. It's bubbling, that's weird. I'm gonna pour some down that main jet. And then the last thing that I'll do, I'm just gonna kind of get it on the walls of this. I know it's not soaking, but just coating it is better than nothing. All right, I'm gonna set that off to the side. Just gonna rub some on that gasket. Gasket does not look too good. I don't have a replacement, so we're gonna have to do our best. Yeah, this gasket does not look very good. That's okay. I think it'll be okay. It's just in really, really rough shape. I'm just gonna knock off what I can in here in this float bowl. All right, this float doesn't look too bad either. Again, I'm just gonna knock off what I can from it. Okay, so here's my setup. It's not ideal, but I'm working with what I got. So this is the carburetor flipped upside down. The seafoam is leaking out of it a little bit. You can see right there, but that's to be expected. But it's filled up. I rubbed some on this gasket, so we'll see how that does. And here I have that float bowl filled up with what I can. I have that bolt sticking up through it. Not that it's perfectly sealed because it needs to thread in to seal. But anyways, I have that floating in there, and then I'll flip it over in a little bit. We'll just kind of let all those parts soak and we'll see how well they come back. So I'm gonna let this sit for probably, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, and then pop the camera back on and we'll see how everything recovers. All right, so this stuff's been sitting, I don't know, maybe about an hour. I'm going to start to polish some of it off. That float bowl looks really good. All right, I'm actually not going to take any abrasiveness to this. I'm just going to take a paper towel to it and just see what the heck happens. And so far, actually is looking pretty good. Oh wow, yeah, that's cleaning right up. Cool. I'm going to use a trusty Q-tip or two. Yeah, cool. So that cleaned up really well. There's not a whole lot of crap left on it, so good. All right, moving along. I'm gonna do that float next. This wasn't that bad to begin with, so we'll just kind of wipe her down. All right, that's good. So here's the needle. The needle actually looks pretty good too. There's a little pin for that needle. There's the bolt. This does have some ports in it, so I will just give it a quick little shot of air. All right, cool. Now on to the last thing. I'm going to see how well this does without. Should come off with this guy. All right, I think that's just about as good as I'm going to get that. I need an ultrasonic cleaner. I really do. So this is much better than what it was. I don't know if that gives a good before and after comparison. There was just a decent amount of corrosion on this that is now gone. I'm actually gonna shoot some air through there. I see there's a port going through. Okay, so this carb still is fairly dirty on the outside, but that should be decent for the internal components. I really need to get an ultrasonic cleaner or some kind of parts washer or something. Let's start reassembling this slowly. All right, I'm just gonna make sure that needle and seat works. So right now, that needle is pressing up against that seat. So if I blow through this, which is where the fuel would come from, there should be nothing, which there's nothing. If I flip it around, pull that needle open, it should, good. All right, yeah, this outside of this is trash. I'll get that float bowl bolt. I'm getting a lot better at that float bowl bolt. Okay, I'm gonna get this put back on. There's an okay number of pieces and bolts and stuff just to get this stuff back on. So let's do that. I'll set the camera up, just reassemble all this, put it back together. We're gonna crank it up and see what happens. Cool, cool, cool. I'm excited. I've never owned one of these things. Part of me wants to, I don't have a need for it. Part of me wants to keep it for some reason. It just looks really cool. So before I get all that button back up, I'm gonna dump some fresh fuel in here. It looks pretty good in there. I can't really, actually maybe it doesn't. So what we're doing is really good. I just looked in there and I saw a lot of crap. So we're gonna fill this up. I shouldn't say fill it up. Whoa, 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 whoa. All right, let's see what kind of goodies come out of this. Like I said, it was empty, but just for the record, there are just a couple tiny little things in there. Okay, I mean, you know, good. Glad I did that. I almost didn't do that. There's a screen in there too. There's a screen that when, you know, so all that stuff wouldn't have made it down. It's just not supposed to be in there. So let's do a little bit more. Ooh. Here, we'll discard this. So that way we can see what comes out in round 2. Ooh, all right. Still a decent amount of crap. Let's do it one more time. All right, I think one more time should be all right. Okay, a very, very, very small amount. So I'm going to say one more time, and then that's fine by me. This thing is intended for just the worst of the worst, being a lawn vacuum. Okay, basically nothing came out. I mean, there's a couple little things. I'm sure I could do this for 2 straight hours and there would still be stuff coming out of it, but yeah, obviously it's better than when we began doing it. So I'm good with that. Okay, so everything for that carburetor is back on there. All that's left is to put this air box assembly back on it. One of the clips did break off. I did have an extra clip that I believe is gonna fit. So I'm gonna slide that on right now. Cool, it's a fit, it's a match. All right, let me clip that gas tank back on. All right, so I got that fuel line back on. All that's left is we're gonna get this air box back on. All right, so I'll let this sit on here. There's a breather tube right there, cool. Get these screws in, and I think that pretty much does it. And then I think we are good to go. I will fill it up with a little bit of fuel, and then we'll just make sure that we don't have any leaks or anything goofy happening. All right, so the tank's probably a third full. All right, so I don't see any leaks. One thing too, this is, comment below, I really want to know because I don't know. I thought the purpose of a primer bulb was to mitigate the need for a choke. This has a choke, and a primer bulb, or a priming system, which is strange. All right, let's fire it up, see what we got, and then I'll fast forward a little bit, hopefully not jinx myself. If everything sounds good, one thing I want to do is flip this up and then take a look at that blade, because I know those can probably get really beat up over the course of their lifetime. So let's fire this thing up and see what it looks like and sounds like. All right, fire in the hole. Cool, that's awesome. I'm so happy about this. This worked out well. I had it on the side of the house. I just ran whatever fuel I filled it up to. I just ran it through, kind of ran the tank out. I did do two things. Put a couple splashes of Marvel Mystery Oil in the crankcase. I also put a couple drops in the fuel tank and just kind of let that circle its way through. So the engine is hot right now, and I'm gonna drain the oil. I just want to take a look at that blade. I'm not gonna do it tonight. That doesn't matter for you though. I'm gonna take a look at it at another time, probably tomorrow or at some point, maybe early or mid next week. So I love when things work out. I'm happy about this whole thing. That carburetor didn't look terrible, but it certainly did not look great. I was moving it around and I did see a lot of what debris was around it getting sucked up in it. I obviously have not tested it, so I haven't shoved any branches or anything in there, or haven't sucked up any. The leaves obviously are a lot easier to shred than, if you shoved like a branch down through there and whatever. So I'll take a look at that blade and clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna change the oil right now. I'm not gonna do that on camera because it's very boring. Who are we kidding? I'm gonna do it on camera. And then we'll flip that up, we'll take that cover off, we'll take a look at that blade and get an idea of what that looks like. And if we need to sharpen it, figure out a way to sharpen it. I'm sure there is. All right, guys, executive decision on the look at the blade strategy. I'm not gonna do that. There's bolts all over this thing holding it in place. So I'm just gonna shove a couple sticks down there when I have a minute and just make sure it eats them without seemingly struggling. Got it all cleaned up. I actually really like this thing. I don't have a need for it. Otherwise, I would probably keep this, but somebody else probably needs it more than I do, and I don't mind cash. But yeah, otherwise, I mean, this thing is there's a couple, cosmetic imperfections, some rust down there, a couple teeny little marks in here, but from what I can imagine, these things probably just get beat up, like beat to shreds. People will put like their toilet that they replaced in there and try to shred it or something. I mean, I can only imagine what some people have tried to put in this thing to, get rid of that's floating around in their yard. So the blade seems pretty fine. It seems nice and sharp. It ate those sticks that I put in it pretty easily. And yeah, I'm happy with this. I think this was a great success. And yeah, I had fun with this one. All right, guys, until next time, thanks for joining. Really appreciate you coming along with me on this one. If you like the video, hit that thumbs up button. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of this. That little bell with the you know the drill with the bell. I'm going to try to put out as many of these as I can, and let me know what you thought in the comments. If you liked it, if you'd like to see something different, more of this, less of that, I'd be interested and curious to know what you guys thought. So thanks for hanging, guys. Follow me on social media, all the platforms. I try to stay, at least have an account for. So yeah, hit me up, holler if you want to say hi or chat. I'd love to interact with any of you in any way, shape, or form I can. So thanks again for joining, guys. Peace.